for the 6 p.m., but don't go anywhere because we have special guests that Steve had booked in advance, the wonderful new federal state of China, where I know you guys sort of want to pick up on where I left off talking about the importance of these rare earths, sort of the really, I think, doctrine of unrestricted warfare. But Ava, I was curious, we were sort of talking in the break, the context, the lens, right, the paradigm of looking at the Ukraine war through just what is happening on the border there, Ukraine and Russia, I think, and I think a lot of this audience would agree with me, misses the forest for the trees. It's very myopic, right, when we should be trying to pull Russia away from the PRC camp and not deplete our arsenal, our ammo, our resources. So if it does come to kinetic conflict with China, we didn't, leave it dwindled so Ukraine can, have a better chance of losing. But your thoughts on sort of the global lens through which I think the Biden regime and sort of that class got the Ukraine conflict so wrong that now left President Trump with a very difficult deck of cards to deal with.
So do you want me to go first?
Sure.
I think this is something we wanted to bring attention to Americans' attention. A lot of things happening definitely inside the United States, but when you're looking at what's happening around the world, the geopolitics, especially the game plans, is actually pushing forward as exactly as planned out by the Chinese Communist Party. So on War Room, Mr. Bannon mentioned numerous times, actually probably not numerous times, I didn't come. So anyway, talk about the May 9th visits that Xi Jinping had with Putin. Closed door, they had 7 hours. They met 3 days. What they were talking about. Okay, so according to our intel, they're talking about Xi providing the resources further to Putin to allow Putin continue his Russia's economy on a war footing. So not only they're going to continue with Ukraine, but also Xi encouraged Putin to make move even into Nordic countries like Finland and Denmark. Okay, so we're potentially seeing the conflict even expanding. And why? People were asking what Putin get. So now this is also intel. So it's not about what Putin get. It's about what Putin would lose. So if you're looking at what's happening inside Russia, so prior to the Ukraine and Russian war, there's about 36% Russian people support the war with Russia. But now if you look at the poll inside, there's 70. The poll has gone out since 3 years ago. Now more people in Russia supporting the Ukraine and Russia war. And really, what about he is going to lose if he doesn't do it is he would have been taken out internally. Okay, so Putin has motivations to do this. Now he got and secured the pull from externally from the CCP, which he promised that he would support and encourage Putin to do this. So now you go back to the real forces behind Putin, who is supporting Putin, which is the Xi Jinping. They have entered into a pact. She had made a lot of personal offers, bribery, basically. We mentioned last time when we talked about Mr. Bannon on our Friday show, we mentioned that from the inside of the CCP, our sources, that she had a green light a Siberia pipeline, which is a LGN pipeline, and gave the project to Putin personally, to his family and his inner circles to develop the project, which we're talking about billions, possibly even more than that. So basically, effectively bought off Putin. So the world is going to be more chaotic because of the CCP. And when you're looking not just Ukraine and Russia, when you're looking at Hamas and Middle East, our intel said she internally has already made a plan to sell those advanced weapons you've just witnessed debuted in near Kashmir in the Pakistan and India conflict recently. So they already wanted to sell those fighter jets and sell those missiles, sell those drones to pretty much all the Middle East nations, including Yemen, Syria, Lebanon, and Egypt. All of this encircling Israel. So the world is not getting more peaceful. On the contrary, CCP had every single plan to make it worse. So And I picked on what you just said, Pride Week coming up. I think you were brilliant because you were talking about China made in China 2025. That's exactly the plan she executed over a decade ago. And when she came into power, she made the Made in China 2025 as the top priority. And that's exactly the setting the trap for the entire world. You mentioned about rare earths. And that's exactly where she made a plan back in 2006. Because according to Miles Guo's revelation, Xi's family has basically personally controlled 99% rare earths, minerals, and processing capacity in China. Okay, so this is in one man and one man's family's hands. But now they're choking not only United States but the entire world, and they know how to use it because all they want is to sow discord and intensify the tension between U.S. and Europe, between U.S. and other parts of the world. And then they allow you to fighting with each other. But that's exactly their strategy. And as of today, you mentioned this is dangerous. Absolutely, this is dangerous time for America. Because at this moment, when we're celebrating the 5th years of anniversary of the new federal state of China, and when we commemorate this 36th anniversary of the Tiananmen Square massacre, the darkest hour back in 1980s, we are talking about the darkest hour in the United States today, because as of today, they can cut off your supply chain. And you are dependent, 90% of your genetic drugs of the United States are coming from China and India. And guess who provide the chemicals, those precursor chemicals for Indian drug maker? China. So all the way it goes back to China. Again, ties back into the Made in 2025. This is a strategic plan CCP made over a decade ago. And United States just catching up right now. So they can cut off your rare earths, your drugs. They can cut off your power line, your water line, your sewage processing. But the kill switch, they embedded in the malware and hardware. So this is why we say it is really fundamental and urgent for Americans to understand how CCP operates and using the same tactics to attacking them. So we actually have some suggestions to American audience and especially for those informed audience foreign policy. And I will leave to Roy to explain what that solutions look like as of now, what America must do.
Yeah, before that, Natalie, do you want to comment on what Ava just responded?
No, Roy, you roll. We only got a few minutes left.
All right, thank you. So two suggestions, actually. One is to cut off all the collaboration in technology and financial support. And second is to clear the swamp, to clear all the lapdogs and collaborators with the Chinese Communist Party within the United States. And you can look at the Statue of Liberty at the back, where 36 years ago, the Chinese students set up in Tiananmen Square, and later they got crushed and run over by tanks. I think I want to repeat this again. American people today are just like the Chinese students on Tiananmen Square in 1989, and we are speeding towards the eve of June 4th. Because this war, we talk about all these proxy wars, actually it's gonna come down to the war between the Chinese Communist Party and the United States, and we cannot afford to lose this war, because this is our last resort. And that's why we have so many supporters inside China. Actually, 80 to 90% of the Chinese people, they love the United States. They cannot be represented by the evil Chinese Communist Party. And the only reason we are here, we survive and we can continue to do this is because of the support of the CCP insiders, whistleblowers, and people just like Steve Bannon and Miles Guo, like supporting us, risking their lives, risking their families' lives. So that's why we really encourage you guys to get on Getter and follow War Room and FIC Speaks and our important pieces of intelligence, Natalie.
It's great stuff, and I think we have Forrest up too. If we do, we can toss him up. Forrest, I'm just curious to kind of get your thoughts. Obviously, President Trump has his big phone call with Xi Jinping this Friday. What do you think our audience should come to expect? We've only got a few minutes.
Okay, I think this morning I talked with Steve. We shouldn't expect any deal with Xi Jinping because their goal is not to have a deal with American. Their goal is undermining the democracy and take over this country. Look at what they have done for the past 10 years. They had waged the unrestricted warfare into this country. The fentanyls, the virus. You just talked about another pathogen which is going to destroy all the food supply for this country. Their goals is clear. They are going to kill the American. They are going to kill the democracy because they are the dictators. They want to grab their own power. The only way for them to keep them in power is to completely remove all the free world. That's what they are doing. That's their plan. As Eva just mentioned, that's their long-time planned strategy, and they are execute that right now. So I think the Warren Posse, the Americans, should wake up and to put action together swiftly and boldly. You cannot negotiate with the people who want to kill you. So I don't think there is any result from this negotiation. We have doubled down on the measures to keep the pressure on the CCP and make them suffer and also crack from inside. Again, the only people who will taking down the Chinese Communist Party is within the party. It's the Chinese people. Of course, the American people like you, like Steve, will help us. And this is not easy, but together we will do it because the threat the CCP put is not only just for Chinese people, they are putting the threat for all the free world. Natalie.
You guys are great. You always break it down in a way that I don't think a lot of people can. I'm not sure how you want to do it. We've got just 1 minute. If people want to follow the three of you, stay up to date with everything the wonderful new federal state of China is doing, maybe even come celebrate your anniversary with you, where can they go to do that?
Yes, I would like to thank you and thank Steve, and also because 36 years have passed since the massacre. Today in the US, in the world, overflowing all the information, all the social media, but no one besides War Room and NFIC is talking about this massacre happened in China.
It's wild, and we're coming up against the end of show, so the break. If people want to follow you and watch your tributes, where can people go to follow you guys?
Yeah, people can go to Getter.
Getter, New Federal State of China, NFSC Speaks. Thank you guys as always for coming on, and happy early birthday. We'll see you soon.